Watching the Valley's news leader with John Langler, Alex Backus, Sherry Swensk, and Nate Tannenbaum. This is Good Day Las Vegas on 8 News Now.
Welcome back, everybody. It's hard to believe, but in less than 2 months now, we are going to enter another decade. But before people pack the Strip to see the fireworks and celebrate 2020, we are looking back over the past few decades on this Throwback Thursday. So today we will turn the clocks back to the 1970s.
And the 70s did see the creation here in Las Vegas of the MGM Grand. Among other things, the Holiday Casino, the Nob Hill Resort, plenty of other things as well. The average room rate back then, just a little more than $30. Elvis, Wayne Newton, Charo, and Margaret, they were all big headliners here during that decade. But there was one headliner in particular who embodied the glitz and glam of Las Vegas.
You know who that was? Mr. Liberace himself. Well, he had already been a mainstay in Las Vegas for a decade by the 1970s. And around that time, he was making $300,000 a week for his shows at the Las Vegas Hilton and Lake Tahoe. In 1979, he opened the Liberace Museum. Wow, look at all those fur coats. It was a place for the lavish performer to show off his rare pianos, his candelabras, his cars, and his jewel-encrusted wardrobe. The museum was popular for 31 years, but closed a few years back in 2011. And I know a lot of people went through that museum.
Oh, just incredible.
Yeah.
And every decade here in Las Vegas really brings so many changes.
Yeah, for all the bell-bottoms and disco that rocked the desert in 1970s, there were 2 huge cultural shifts.
And we take them kind of for granted today, really.
Yeah, well, one of them has even turned into a popular line of thinking that we're going to get into, but we start by talking about the beginning of the end of the mob.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tangiers Hotel proudly presents the all-new Sam Rothstein Show, Aces High.
Remember that scene from the movie Casino where the Robert De Niro character Sam Rothstein had his own Las Vegas TV show? That's because De Niro's character was based on the real-life Frank Lefty Rosenthal, who did have his own weekly TV show during his time as a casino executive at the Stardust.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Frank Rosenthal.
To think that he could go on the air every week with a talk show and be accepted and admired as a celebrity in this town is now, in hindsight, vulgar. It's a joke.
That was Larry Levitt, who was a federal prosecutor back in the 1970s. He was part of the 1987 Channel 8 documentary, The Mob on the Run, reported by the late legendary Ned Day. To put all this in perspective, we went to a man longtime Southern Nevadans should remember as our governor in the 1980s. He was Nevada's Attorney General when these critical cases involving the mob and casinos came to a head. Richard Bryan.
I've often heard it was better when the mob controlled everything. That is not correct. The mob didn't care as long as they were left alone. If you keep your nose clean here in Nevada, that's fine with us. And so I think there was kind of in the community, well, we know that they had mob ties. I think the extent of the skim, that sort of thing, I think, came to as a surprise to many.
The senator and I also traveled back in time to 1973 when the police department of the city of Las Vegas merged with the Clark County Sheriff's Office to form what we now know as Metro.
And the idea of merging those, I think, was to save money to the taxpayer and to create more efficiency. The cultural differences took a while. I mean, obviously there were differences, but the merger, I think, essentially worked quite smoothly.
Karen Kernut spent 30 years as a civilian employee with Metro, and she saw those early cultural differences firsthand.
At briefing, the city would sit on one side and the county would sit on the other, and when they would come up from the basement, from the briefing rooms, you would see the county on one side and the city on the other, and eventually they realized that they're one department and they became friends.
So that's a photograph of the first SWAT team of the then Las Vegas Metro Police Department after the merger.
Wow.
And there they were, kind of getting along and doing what they needed to do. Now, Karen, she had some other great stories about her early days with Metro. Didn't have time to put them in the story. They will be on our website, 8newsnow.com. Also wanted to thank Senator Bryan for taking time to have a great conversation, and Sheriff Joe Lombardo and Larry Hadfield with the Metro PIO office for allowing me into some of the depths of the Metro Police headquarters building for those photographs of the old ID cards and the mannequins with the old uniform.
I love that. Cool. That is really cool. Yeah, to look back.
Yeah.
I mean, we only know Metro as Metro today, right? All right, we'll be looking back at the 70s all morning long, and then tonight, Ted Florendo will take a closer look at how Las Vegas transformed from a dusty cowboy town into today's town full of glitz and glamour.
So much fun, and it's so cool to see the old videos and the old wardrobe and everything. Yeah, really neat.
The old neon on the old strip, all the casinos that aren't there anymore. It's just it's a great trip down memory lane for people who were around back then. And even if not, it's just fun to learn about your community a little bit more.
And we talked last hour about how if you get a chance to see that documentary, The Mob on the Run, it is on the YouTube. So if you get a chance, check it out. It is unbelievable, the research that went into putting that story together.
Channel 8 production.
Yeah.
Channel 8 production.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I loved looking at the map, too, how there was nothing west of Rainbow or just,
anywhere.
Most of our neighborhoods did not exist back then.